Hey guys, welcome back to week 2 of my Eat Like a Gilmore challenge. This week we are going through episodes 7 through 12. So we have on the menu from episode 7, blueberry muffins from Luke's Diner. From episode 8, Rocky Road cookies from Sookie. Episode 10, the apple tarts, the famous Christmas apple tarts from Emily. And from episode 11, a baked Alaska, which will definitely be my biggest challenge for today. So that's what I'm most nervous for, but I'm really excited to try it out. Let's go ahead and get started. Okay, so I'm just starting with our first recipe as blueberry muffins, and we're gonna just work through the episodes. These are from episode 7 in Luke's Diner. I'm sure that blueberry muffins get mentioned a lot of times throughout the series, but this is the first one that we have when they come in and ask for blueberry muffins. So for this, it's just dry ingredients and wet ingredients. We have flour, sugar, salt, baking powder, baking soda, with egg, olive oil, sour cream, and milk. And we're just gonna combine the dry into the wet with a fork. Make sure to not overmix them. And then we'll fold in the blueberries, put them in. I'm gonna just use my regular size cupcake tins, and they get baked at 400 degrees. Leaving this pretty just barely mixed because we still have to fold in the blueberries and gently fold those in. Beautiful. So this does say to just spray the muffin tins and put the batter directly in there. You can do that option. For the ease of not just cleanup but serving, I like to just use papers. And then it calls for coarse sugar, which I don't have, so I'm just going to give them a little sprinkle of some regular sugar just to kind of brown the top. Blueberry muffins are done and they are looking so good. Cannot wait to try these out again. Okay, so the next recipe we're gonna get started on are the Rocky Road cookies. These are the cookies that Rory comes in and gets from Sookie to give to Dean. She does not like Rocky Road cookies, but we find out that Dean does. So we're gonna get started on those. This is another recipe that I have actually tried out in the past from the book, so I am gonna make one substitution to it. It calls for marshmallow cream or fluff to be swirled into the cookies for the marshmallow. When I did that the last time, the cookies just spread a lot and were really, really messy to like get off the pan. They stuck a lot and it tasted delicious, but was really, really difficult to eat. So rather than swirling in a more runny fluff, I'm gonna just use regular mini marshmallows to hopefully keep a better structure on the cookies this time, and hopefully have them come out looking a little bit more like what the picture in the book actually looks like. Everything else is staying exactly the same. I'm just gonna make that one substitution that I learned didn't work out so well for me the last time. So let's go ahead and get started. Alright, starting the cookies by just creaming the butter and sugar together. Alright, to the bowl I have added the eggs and cocoa powder, and then I also got my dry ingredients combined here, and we're going to add those in once this is all mixed. Okay, I have the batter all made, so we're just going to go ahead and put in all the toppings. It's a cup of mini marshmallows that I'm substituting for the marshmallow cream, 3/4 cup of mini chocolate chips, and 3/4 cup of chopped pecans. Just fold this all in. Now that looks pretty good. There's pretty many toppings in there, so I'm just gonna go ahead and get those scooped out. So I'm gonna start scooping the cookies out. I'm just gonna test bake a couple at the temperature that the recipe calls for with the oven. It's always a good idea to do that with your cookies just because every oven is a little bit different. So what works for one may not work for another. All right, cookies came out and they look fantastic. They're super nice and fluffy. So I'm gonna bake the rest of them just like that. Okay, I'm just running some trays of cookies through the oven, so while those are baking, I'm gonna get started on the apple tarts. These are the Christmas dinner apple tarts that Emily serves. They're Lorelai's favorite. She has made up a song about them. We are going to make them and test them out and see if they are worthy of a song. All right, moving on to our apple tarts. In my pan, I have brown sugar, and butter. I'm just gonna get that melted together and then pour the sliced apples into it and let those cook down until they're tender. Okay, this is pretty much melted down, so I'm gonna just toss in. This is 6 Fuji apples, thinly sliced. It looks like a lot of apples, but I know it'll cook down a lot. And just stir that all together. While the apples are cooking, I'm just getting started on the crust. So far, I just have flour, sugar, baking powder, a little bit of salt in here that I'm cutting my butter into. Once the butter is cut in, we're gonna do some egg yolk, sour cream, and vanilla, and then roll it out and put it into a cupcake pan. If you have a full tart pan, you can do it as one full tart. I'm gonna do it as individual, so I'm gonna just use my regular cupcake pan. Next step is gonna be to roll it out and cut it and shape it into our pans. Let's go check on our apples. So our apples are bubbling away here. I did just taste one. It's still a little bit firm, so I'm gonna let them cook down a bit more until it's a bit more tender. But they're looking good so far. Alrighty, so we're just rolling our dough out on a floured surface here. And then I have my cutters. I'm gonna try, I'm not sure if I need the quite that large of one. So I just have to see which size works better to fit in my pan. So I am just sliding in these circles to my greased, hopefully greased enough so that they don't stick when I go to take them out. Cupcake pan, and just gently pushing them in. And then just kind of shaping the edges. The apples are done. So after I finish with these, there you go, and they get pre-baked in the oven for a little bit, and then filled with apples and then finished baking. Okay, they're all pressed into the pan, so first I'm just going to put some holes in the bottom to help the pre-baking, and then go around the edges and just put a little fork press in the edges just to kind of clean them up, make them look a little fancier. Alrighty, so we have the crust done. They didn't shrink up too badly. They did get a little bit more brown than I probably would like them after the first bake, but you can see they're already coming out really nice, which is perfect. That's exactly what we want. I think next time I did it, I just probably wouldn't bake them quite as long for the first time around. And then our apples are really nice and almost like caramelized here, so they're light brown, and there's this nice thick little bit of like juice and sauce in there. So it does say to just arrange them in the cups. Because I'm doing the individual smaller cups, I'm not going to worry about arranging them like in a pretty manner. I'm just going to put them in there as many as I can get in, and spread out the filling among the cups. If you're doing a larger full-size tart, it is nice to arrange the slices a bit more like strategically, just to make it look pretty, but that won't do much for us in these. So in the recipe caption, it describes them as being almost like caramely, which makes a lot more sense to me now that I'm seeing this like juice that's in them, because it is really thick. And then it says to bake them for about 8 more minutes. I think I'm gonna start with 5 and kind of see how they're looking at that point. I don't want the crust to get too brown on the edges, since they already got a little bit done on that first bake. I did also turn the oven down for this one. It says to bake them at 400, but because everything's pretty much already cooked, I turned it down to 350. So it might need the full 8 minutes just at a lower temperature. We'll see. All right, heading into the oven. So the apple tarts did finish up. As you can see, they're pretty dark. I haven't tasted them yet, so we'll see how they end up tasting. But unfortunately, after the first bake, they were like the perfect color, but you needed to bake them again to get the apples really nice and caramelized in the shell. So I'm hoping they still taste okay. The recipe seems good, just the baking times were off for doing them in a smaller cup, so I need to take note of that if I go to make them again. Okay, so we're gonna get started on the last dessert. This is the Baked Alaska. I have brownies in the oven for the crust. I am using the recipe from the book for Luke's like triple chocolate brownies that he makes, but that hasn't come up in the show yet, so we'll go through those again when they actually come up. For now, we're gonna start with molding the ice cream into our bowl. You need a metal or glass bowl to do this so that it freezes, and we're using 3 different kinds of ice cream, starting with dulce de leche, coffee, and vanilla. So we are using a pint of each ice cream. I did get them out of the freezer a couple of minutes ago just so they were slightly soft. Slightly, I say, soft to be able to actually spread them in. Oh my goodness. Yikes. Okay. After I get the dulce de leche in, we're gonna layer on vanilla and then the coffee. And hopefully you get like a semi-even layer along the bottom here. It's the aftermath of my Baked Alaska here. Yikes. Okay, so we're on to finishing the Baked Alaska. The ice cream has been in the freezer for a few hours, rehardening into the shape. I have the brownies all done, so we're gonna add that on right before we pipe it, just to keep the ice cream in as cold as possible. And I am starting the sugar for the meringue. So we're just boiling some sugar and water, and then I'm gonna whip up some egg whites, pour it in together to make the meringue, and that's what we're gonna pipe along the outside, and then we get to torch it. Okay, so you can see my egg whites are beaten until they're very stiff and shiny. My sugar is just about done. We want it to be between 235 and 240 degrees, and then we're just going to slowly pour it into the egg whites while we mix it, and we'll have meringue. You want your mixer to be low because you don't want it to splash the sugar, but you want to make sure that it's mixing right away so you're not cooking your egg whites. Once it's all in, I'm going to turn it up till it gets stiff again. So all the sugar is incorporated, and then I just have some nice stiff white peaks coming up. It pretty much suggests just dumping the pan of brownies on top and then pushing it in So I'm gonna try to just loosen them enough that hopefully the whole thing will fall, and then just I'm gonna scrape away whatever crumbs don't make it into the bowl. It looks like it will actually be successful. Now we just have to dump the ice cream out of the bowl and hope that it stays together. A little bit of heat to melt it away from the sides. Hopefully it'll plop down. Once I got the whole ice cream and brownie part to pop out of the bowl, I just covered it with some saran wrap and put it in the freezer for a few more minutes to get the outside that had melted a little bit from using the heat on the bowl nice and frozen again before I started piping the meringue on. And here that's just what I'm doing. You do want to make sure that you cover it with a nice thick coating of meringue and make sure it's all covered so that when you go to torch it, it doesn't hit the ice cream underneath and start melting the ice cream. And that's what we're going to do next. Now the fun part. So here was our finished baked Alaska. Definitely a learning experience. There's a few things that I would do differently next time to make it better, but overall the taste was amazing and I'm really happy with how well it came out. Here was everything else that we had for this week, our cookies, apple tarts, and muffins. The apple tarts tasted amazing. Definitely just something that I would watch the baking temperatures on next time around, but I'm super happy with the way they tasted. The muffins came out perfectly. I have no complaints on those. They were delicious. And the Rocky Road cookies, those came out great as well. The mini marshmallow substitution was definitely the right choice. Kept a much better structure, but you still got that really gooey marshmallow in there in the cookie. Overall amazing. That's all we had for this week. Come back next week for week 3 and we'll finish out cooking through season 1. Thanks for watching.